Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here. Once again, I am here today to review a Goosebumps book. This is. I thought this was going to be fun. I was really kind of excited because even when there's like a bad Goosebumps book, there are some fun things to talk about, like in, that You Can't Scare Me. The last couple of pages were really, really good, and then the whole rest of the book is trash. And then the fact that he styled the characters after actual cartoon characters. Like those are some interesting, fun things to talk about. But with this book, Chicken Chicken, Chicken Chicken is sort of like a joke book. You can tell that R.L. Stine, his joke book beginnings really come out with this book. He wrote this story after what I think is the best Stephen King movie of all time, which is Thinner. And basically that movie is all about there's this guy and his wife, and he's really fat, and she gives him a BJ on the road while he's driving, and he accidentally kills the wife of this Native American witch doctor guy, and then he fucking curses the fat guy in return. And he just says thinner, and I think he pokes his face. And so the whole movie, it's just him wasting away to nothing. He's constantly losing weight even though he doesn't want to. And it is the greatest. It's such a good movie. It's such a creepy movie. It's such a fun movie. It feels like there's actual stakes. It feels like, he did do something wrong. I mean, he ran somebody over because he was too busy paying attention to, what. So it felt like a really good story. And then other people die too. And there's this whole thing with his best friend, and he's best friends with this mafia guy, and so the mafia guy is like trying to fix the whole situation, and it's just the greatest thing. It's so good. It's so good. Like, I can't say enough good things about Thinner. Now, this book, on the other hand, I can hardly say anything about it. I mean, this is a this is a crap book. This is chicken crap. I mean, let's be honest. It would have been more entertaining to see these kids turn into pieces of crap, and and then have to like fucking get out of the sewer. They should. You know what they should do? Oh, they should do that for like a Tales from the Crypt episode. You could have you could, you could. Oh, I got it. Somebody has to do that. Like, that would be so hilarious and gross and creepy, and oh, I mean, just imagine. You could even just call it crap, and you could say, oh, it's a parody of R.L. Stine and his fucking Thinner ripoff, because apparently, like, this, I guess he might have taken inspiration from Thinner, and I can see that kind of, like, I can see, it is a similar story to where you have these kids. I don't even know who they are. I mean, they weren't even characters at all. They weren't characters. They were trash. And you see, this is what I mean by how Welcome to Dead House, it felt like such a complete story. It felt like such a full work compared to this. And this just feels like bare bones, bare minimum effort. I need to do what I need to do to get the whatever the fourth book out this year. And on one hand, I can't blame him because it would get really hard to write these books in such a fast way. 4 books a year, 3 books a year. That's pretty tough. Because, I mean, he's editing them, he's, going through them over and over and over again, too. So, it's not like I can't see where he's coming from. But you look at the story and there's nothing there. And it's funny, too, because we just reviewed Night of the Squawker. And this book has, like, some similarities to that a little bit. And, oh, no. So you have these kids, I guess 3, but really there's just 2 main ones. See how bad these characters are? So these kids run into her while she's taking her groceries to her car, and then one of them runs away and apologizes. The other 2 just stand there because they're like, in shock. And so she says, chicken, chicken. And this woman, she is like a witch. She wears, and they say this in the book, she wears black lipstick. She wears black clothing. This is, it's so funny too, because like, you think about outdated, you think about like those stupid sensitivity readers and their fucking mental retardation. But then you think about like what's really outdated. And this would be something that's like really outdated. Not in like a bad way, but just in general, you can't just assume that somebody is a witch because they wear black clothing and wear black lipstick in 2023. I mean, you see people like that all over the place in the city, and you see them all online, on TikTok, doing whatever they're doing. So I think that that's totally outdated. She really wasn't a character, this Vanessa woman, this Vanessa the witch. But she puts this curse on these kids because they didn't say sorry for running into her when she had groceries. Like, okay, wow, you must curse a lot of people. I mean, that's... see, here we already have a plot hole. If she is this sensitive, if she is this hypersensitive about manners, about, being rude, she'd have to be cursing, like, everybody. Like, everyone around. Like, your mom, my mom, your mom's mom. Everyone would get cursed because, like, oh no, that person did that thing that people would consider rude. Oh no. I just think that that's really unrealistic, because if she was cursing everyone like that, then there'd be a lot of problems around town. You'd have all these weird people walking around with deformities and animal faces and shit. And you'd think, this isn't normal. There's something off here. There's something wrong. It's not just like, okay, let's just ignore that. Like, no, there's something wrong there. And then you think about, well, there's not just one Vanessa. There's not just one witch in the whole world. So there's like thousands of witches. And that would have connotations of like everyone has some sort of a curse on them or something, which actually, that could have been really interesting. He could have easily made some sort of a really good story about kids, and maybe the first act. Okay, I'm going to pitch a chicken reboot, okay? Sorry, you really want me to talk about this fucking shitty-ass book? I mean, there's not even anything to say worthwhile. Like, it's a trash book. we'll talk about it, but I want to get my pitch over with. Okay. The first act is this story, kinda. Okay, you have this woman, you have this whammon, because she's not a woman. She is the definition of a whammon. Okay, this is what you call, this isn't a witch. This is a whammon witch. A bitch. A Karen. Because who curses people? Kids, too. I mean, 12-year-old kid, 8-year-old kid cursing these people because they didn't say sorry when they were in shock when they ran into someone. So, this is the first act where, they've been cursed and they're like, what's going on? Why are we turning into chicken monsters? And then they confront her at her house. This is the end of Act 1. So this whole book, I'm truncating into the first act, which would be like 30 pages. And she says, you know why? Is because you didn't say sorry. And they're like, we didn't? Oh, sorry, we don't remember that because we were so in shock. Sorry. And then she's like, wow, and then she undoes the curse. Boom. Now this is Act 2. She teaches these kids how to curse. You have these 3 kids. She teaches 3 kids how to do these witchcraft powers. She gives them each books. She gives them each, like, witchcraft supplies. And these kids, in the second act, they've got all these problems. They got shitty parents. There's people at school who suck. There's people who walk down the street weirdly. And I don't know. But these kids, they have all these motivations. You think about all the people. If you could make a list, just make a list of all the people in your life who you wish you could curse. And then apply that to these kids. And think about the disastrous consequences. Okay, so then these kids, they start cursing all these people, start making them turn into monkeys and snakes and lizards, start making them walk backwards, start giving them deformities and shit, and then all of a sudden, one of the kids teaches another kid how to curse people, and then that kid starts teaching other kids how to curse people, and pretty soon you have this whole small town of people, and they're all cursing each other, and they're all hurting each other and making each other turn into just monstrous and suffer and have pain and physical pain and torment and have terrible luck, and it's just like a huge disaster. And it was all because this witch, who started off as this person who's teaching a valuable lesson, she's like, she does the wrong thing, and she gives these kids something she should not have given them. Because they were kind of trying to do spells in the original book anyway. They were trying to do a spell to undo the curse, and then they just made it worse. Okay, so then in Act 3, somehow you'd have to have it all undone. And what I think would have to happen is the witch, Vanessa, she ends up putting a spell on the entire town, and it's like a Men in Black mind erasing type of thing, where she erases all the curses and makes everyone forget how to do curses, even the kids. But then the problem is that the kids forgot the lesson that they learned in the first act. And so they bump into her again at the store, and she curses them and turns them into chickens again. But the problem is that she thinks about, I'm sick of living in this town. It's Ohio. So I'm... So she leaves town, and she leaves these kids to become chickens forever. And so the kids are turning into chickens again. And it's even worse because, they're starting to, devolve from human form. And they're starting to not even think like humans anymore. And they're starting to, it's a disaster. Their parents don't know what to do because they're like, I don't know what to do. Who knows? So what ends up happening is that the kids have to remember. They have to find some way to remember how to undo spells, how to do spells. And they have to pull that out of their memory, even though they're chickens, kind of like in Twin Peaks The Return, where you have Dougie and he's trying to remember that he's Cooper, and you have all these triggering things that would, help him remember that he's Cooper. That is what the kids have to do. And then finally they do it. They turn human again. But the twist, there's always has to be a twist, a gay-ass twist in a Goosebumps book. I don't know. Let's just think for a second. What would be a good twist? Okay, the twist is that the school bully remembers how to curse too, and he tries to curse the main kids again, but then he ends up cursing himself, and he ends up erasing himself from existence. And so then, at the very end of the book, it would be like Cuckoo Clock of Doom, and the two kids would be like, okay, what do we do? We obviously need to help the bully. How do we help him? How do we get him back? Boom. Suck on that, R.L. Stine. Because I'm sorry, but that just sounds like it would be so much better than whatever this trash was. Okay? This book, nothing went on the whole book except for they're turning into chickens. They go cluck, 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 which just makes me want to throw up. They can't play soccer very well. It's so lame. It's such a joke. And then at the end of the book, of course, the way that you guys won't believe what happens. I mean, it's basically like the Leave It to Beaver episode where Beaver rides the bus and he gets kicked off. These kids write an apology note to this Vanessa woman. An apology note. I mean, guys, you really think getting turned into literal chickens is equivalent to not saying sorry when you just happen to bump into someone with their groceries? I mean, that's just fucking retarded. So, they write these thank you notes, and she's like, wow, I've never, kids don't even write thank you notes anymore. And it's like, ugh. And then she turns them back into kids. And this is the creepy part. This is the part where, you could have also had another type of story, which I will also pitch that story because it's more entertaining than talking about this trash, dumbass, eventless, shitty-ass book. She gives these kids soda, which anyone, I don't know, over the age of 5 knows that soda makes you burp. But Vanessa, she doesn't really care. Or I guess she's kind of late to the party. She doesn't really know about burping and things, even though she's in her 40s or 50s. And it's like, God, grow the fuck up, you fucking witch bitch. One of the kids burps after they take a drink of soda, and this pisses her off, and she turns around and says, pig, pig. So, and the other kid laughed at his sister burping, or whatever, I can't remember. So, because he laughed, and because the other kid burped, they're now going to be turned into pigs, too. It's like, are you serious? Are you serious with that shit? I mean, see what I mean? How sensitive she is? and how it would really be a problem. But anyway, you could do another type of story with this woman where she's a big part of the book. She's a character who's in it a lot, and she makes friends with these kids after the whole curse thing. And you could have this kind of scary story where, you know, they're friends with her, but they kind of don't want to be anymore because she just keeps on cursing them and doing these spells, and they're kind of afraid to say anything. Or maybe she, like, entraps them and, you know, keeps them in her house like, you know, Hansel and Gretel. And then, you know, you could have something with that where they have to learn magic to get out of the house. I don't know. The first pitch was better, I know. So I would rate this book an F-. I gotta say, I did not think, well, something already did. You know, previously, the Headless Ghost was the worst Goosebumps book. And then we read a modern one, which was called Screaming with the Stars. And that became the worst Goosebumps book. But we have crowned a new number 2 worst Goosebumps book. Chicken Chicken is the second worst of the whole series, of what I've read so far. Why? Because it's nothing. It's like I gotta be honest, guys. I didn't even pay attention to this whole book. Like, I was listening, but when I listen to things that are just so uninteresting and so bad, I just zone out and don't pay attention. And so that's how you know that Welcome to Dead House was so good, was that I was paying attention for those whole 2 hours. So I guess it's kind of lucky, though, that while I'm sick, that this is the book that I get to review, because it's probably like the least amount of energy I'll ever have to give into doing a Goosebumps book review. Like, I can't imagine a book in this series where I would give less energy than this. I mean, there are a couple coming up now that I'm kind of concerned about, like How to Fly, and then there's that one where the kid turns into a bee. You know, I remembered it was really funny because when I was and I know that this is probably a story I should save for the bee episode, but when I was a kid, I really wanted to make all the rest of the Goosebumps books into TV episodes, and I was planning on, you know, trying to get people from school to make the Goosebumps episodes and, you know, put them all on YouTube and say, hey, look, even though they didn't make these books into episodes, I did. And one of the first ones was the Bees one. And it was funny because I was a little devil, and so I gave the bee one to my mom to read, and I forced her to read it because I had this like list of books, and I just wasn't interested in reading them at all, and so I was like, well, she can read them and then summarize them for me, and then that'll help me write the episodes. And she read it, and she hated it, and she said it was a piece of trash. So, I mean, who knows? Anyways, please like this video, comment, tell me what you thought of Chicken Chicken, because I know somebody probably likes it. You know what? Before you say that you like it, go watch the movie Thinner, and then tell me again that you like it, because I can't even fathom that somebody could watch Thinner and then read this and think that this is good and acceptable. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see me continue to review the Goosebumps series. And then at the very end, there will be a massive ranking storm. It's going to be like, and I always hate doing this too. It's like, I like ranking, but at the same time, you know, you'll finish like a show or a movie series, and there's like a storm of ranking, you know. And for the Goosebumps series, there's going to be a lot of rankings that I'm going to have to do. I'm just warning you guys. So goodbye, everybody. See you soon.